This is the homework help video for systems of equations using any method, worksheet 2. All right, in previous assignments we have taught how to solve systems of equations by graphing, by substitution, by elimination, but now that we can use any method we want, our preferred method, the fastest, easiest way, is right here in the calculator using LinSolve. So you go to the calculate screen, and I want to go to menu 3.2. Menu 3 is algebra. 2 is solve system of linear equations. We call that LinSolve. Because when you get to this screen and you select your variables, I want two variables, x and y, because that's what I have in my equation. It says LinSolve. So it's not a fraction, it's actually just two boxes. The top box, I type my entire first equation. Negative 2x plus y, negative 2x plus y equals negative 2. I want to point out that see how this one looks longer and this one looks shorter? There's not a difference between these. It's just the way it happens to look on the paper. Since it's in front of a term and there's nothing else on the other side, there's no term on the other side, this is a negative sign and this is also a negative sign. So when you put it in, you got to make sure you use the negative button, not the minus button. Very important. Okay, now that I've put the first one in, I arrow down and I put in 2x plus y equals 6. 2x plus y equals 6. It's that easy. Once you put them both in, you press enter. The solution is 2, 2. That means on a graph, whatever these lines look like, they're going to cross at 2 counts to the right and 2 counts up. That is the point where the two lines cross. Let's do number 3. Okay, I don't have to dock B, I don't have to clear this out. I can just do menu 3.2 again, push enter, and there'll be another LinSolve right below it. I'm going to type in y equals 6x plus 18. Don't forget, you do have to type in the y equals. Y equals 6x plus 18, arrow down, y equals 12x. There's both equations. You push enter. 3, 36. That means you go 3 counts to the right on the x-axis, go 36 counts up, and that's where the point of intersection is. Okay, the rest of this worksheet is all word problems. It's easy to do these. Once you have the equation, it's easy to LinSolve and get your solution. The challenging part where we need practice is coming up with the equations in the first place. Okay, we'll do all the odds together. Number 5. Noah has a jar of nickels and dimes. There are 200 coins worth $14. How many of each type of coin are in the jar? Okay, before we start, I want to remind you of the different types of patterns we've learned about. Okay? There's standard form, ax plus by equals c. Standard form is common in word problems when they're giving you a total of something. A total of money, a total of pencils, a total of something, where you're adding two things up and you get a total. Very common to use standard form for that. If you don't have a total and you see the words per, each, and every with no total in the problem, there's a very good chance you're using slope-intercept form, and the number that's closest to the word per, each, or every is going to be my slope or my rate of change. Okay, if you don't have a pattern, you're just going to have to use the keywords in the problem and build your equation that way. Okay, and when I say keywords, I mean words like less than, words like times, like 3 times bigger, something like that. Those types of words where you have to build it. Less than would mean subtract, times would mean multiply, things like that. So in this problem, number 5, if you look carefully, I'm going to read it again. Noah has a jar of dimes, nickels and dimes. There are 200 coins. That's a total of coins right there. So we're already looking at a standard form equation, and the C number in the standard form equation is going to be 200. But there's also another total. This is the total number of coins that you can count, but this is the total value of all the coins. That's the total money value. So that's going to be another standard form equation. Okay? So how many of each type of coin are in the jar? Well, we know we have nickels and dimes. So let's let N represent the number of nickels in the jar, and we'll let D represent the number of dimes in the jar. Okay, that's one of the big key things, is defining a variable. We don't know how many nickels we have. We don't know how many dimes we have, so we define N as the number of nickels, D as the number of dimes. The variables end up being the thing that you don't know. Okay, so if I add up all my nickels, I'm not talking about the money. If I just count all my nickels and then I count all my dimes, I'm going to get 200 total coins. So the first equation is just total nickels plus the total number of dimes equals the total number of coins, which is 200. Now the second equation, a lot of people stop here and they say, well, I don't even have enough information to get another equation. But you do. It's not written in the problem, but it's inherent with knowing what nickels are and what dimes are. The value of a nickel in currency is 5 cents, 0.05. They didn't write that in the problem, but the fact that they said nickels, we already know that. And the value of a dime is 10 cents, 0.05 and 0.10. Okay? So when you're adding up the value of nickels, what total value of nickels do I have? I have 5 cents times all my nickels. That gives me all the money I have in nickels. And then I add to that 10 cents times all my dimes. That gives me all the money in dimes. And then I get all the total money in all. That's my second equation. So like I said, that was the hard part, was coming up with my variables and then coming up with my equations. The easy part is to lens solve. So let's go ahead and lens solve. We're going to do menu 3-2. But I'm not using XY this time. I'm using N and D. I could have used XY, but I chose N and D. So I'm going to highlight this part, and I'm going to put N, comma, D for nickels and dimes. Now I push enter, and now I type the equations in just like I have them. N plus D equals 200. And then 0.05 N plus 0.10 D equals $14. Do you have to put the 0.00? No, but since it's money, I just decided to put the 0.00. You push enter. What does this number mean? 120, 80. Well, the first number that I said N was my first number, so the 120 is my total number of nickels. The 80 is my total number of dimes. I had 120 nickels plus 80 dimes. If you wanted to check it, you could add those together and you would get 200, and you could plug in the 120 and the 80 in the equation and you'd get $14. Okay, let's move on to the back. Number 7. I think number 7 is one of the trickiest ones on the whole assignment, honestly. Now, one equation is not tricky. It's pretty easy. We'll do that one first. The radio station has 55 employees. That is a total right out of the starting gate. It's a total of something. So I'm already thinking, oh, this might be a standard form. I have a total number of employees. There is one less than 3 times as many men as women working at the station. This is a mouthful. This is a lot of stuff here, and this is the tricky part. How many individual men and women work at the station? So they want to know the total number of men and the total number of women. So those are our variables. Let's let M equal the number of men and W equal the number of women. Now the first equation should be pretty easy. the total number of men plus the total number of women equals the total number of employees, the 55. That's a standard form, just like we thought. This is the one that's tricky, because when you first write it, and let's go ahead and go through line by line and write it how we first read it, and then I'll show you why it's tricky. There is one less than. One less than means we're subtracting one somewhere. Less than is subtract. So somewhere we're subtracting a 1. 3 times as many. Specifically, 3 times as many. We're multiplying 3 times something. 3x, or 3 times. 3 times as many, and then we're dealing with men. And what is this word as? Men as women. We're dealing with women somewhere. There's our variable and our variable. Now, we don't usually see as, but we often see the word is, because somewhere there has to be an equal sign for this to be an equation, right? So, when you first look at this, you're thinking 3 times the m, but then you got to take 1 away from it, and that equals the women, because we're used to seeing an equal sign somewhere, right? So we first come up with something like this, but here's the problem with this. How many do we have more men or do we have women? It says there's 3 times as many men. So there's a lot more men than there are women. 3 times as many, almost, right? So let's just make up some numbers. Let's say I have 60 men. And I have 3 times as many men, if we ignore that part. That would mean I have 20 women, right? Because I have more men than women. But if I have this over here and I plug in the 60 men and the 20 women, this equation doesn't balance. This is going to be a much bigger number over here than what we have over here. What I'm getting at is the 3 and the -1 have to be with the W, not with the M. Because M is the bigger number. We have 3 times as many women. So to keep the equation balanced, this number is 3 times as big, almost, right? So to balance it, we have to put the 3 with the women. Okay? So let's go with our 20 again. Say I have 20 women. I plug in the 20 here. That gives me 60 men. But it says I don't actually have 3 times as many men. I have 1 less than 3 times. So it's actually going to be -1 right here. That's really quite a piece of work, this equation, honestly. But we worked through it a little at a time, and we had to use our sense of reasonability to figure out what really goes where. Okay? So what it is the men is equal to 3 times whatever women I have, but then 1 less than that. So -1. There's my 2 equations. That was the hard part. Let's len solve. Okay, we would put it in menu 3, 2, and unfortunately this might have to be the last one because I'm running out of time on my video. I'm going to put in M, comma, W. M, comma, W. Okay, I'm going to put in M plus W equals 55. M plus W equals 55. And then M equals 3W minus 1. 41 men and 14 women. Does it make sense? Let's see. If I do 14 times 3, that gives me 42. And yes, it says I have 1 less than 3 times as many men. When I take 1 away from that, I get the 41. And when I add these together, I do get 55. So that is the correct answer. I only have 30 seconds. I'm not going to have time to do all of number 9, but I will set it up for you. The sum of 2 numbers is 8. Let x be a number and y equal a number. X plus y equals 8. One number, x, is 3 more than, that's plus 3, 4 times the other number. You guys can len solve that. Sorry I had to rush through it, but I'm limited to 15 minutes per video. All right, if you have more questions, see us in class.